Adam here from the Walzer Automotive Group, and what I want to do today is compare a couple of vehicles. Now on the one side we have the Subaru Forester, and on the other side I have the Mazda CX-50. So we'll look at the interiors, the exteriors, some of the trim levels, and then see which one might just be right for you. Let's start by looking at the 2025 Subaru Forester. Now the particular one that we have here today is the limited trim level. So there's a few different trim levels, this one kind of being the middle upper one, and there's a lot of pretty great equipment on here. So to start, this one has a 2.5 liter boxer engine, and that's going to be paired to a CVT transmission. So what that means, it's kind of like one constant gear. It's very smooth and comfortable out on the road, and it's going to return 29 mpg combined with symmetrical all-wheel drive. So all Subarus do come with the symmetrical all-wheel drive outside of the sports car, but this is definitely going to help you out in a pinch. With over 8 inches of ground clearance, if you're out on the trails for those mountain bikes, you're going down to the cabin, there's a lot of good usability, especially in those Minnesota winters, to help you out. Now you may notice on the windshield those 3 little cameras. What that is Subaru EyeSight. So that's a driver assist and safety feature that's going to help you out in quite a few different ways. Things like blind spot monitoring, emergency braking, there's going to be an adaptive cruise control. We'll touch on a little bit more of that inside. But as far as usability goes, the Subaru Forester is definitely outdoor focused. You'll notice the higher roof rack rails, you can put the crossbars up there, you can actually put a roof tent up above, the mountain bikes or those kayaks, and this model also gets the power liftgate. So you can click the button, that's going to open up, and in the back you have a ton of space. So there's a little convenient button kind of in the back that you can pull, and that's going to kick the seats down. It makes it super easy, or there is little handles on the back, but once those are down you have a huge cargo area where you can haul stuff along. Now if you keep the seats up, there is a cargo cover back there, and there's a ton of room in that second row. Now you will notice the Limited is a little bit different. There's also the Sport model, which does get the bronze wheels, but this one does have the 18-inch kind of two-tone wheel, and it fits the vehicle very nicely. You'll also notice some of those gray accents that run around the vehicle, whether it's the mirrors or up front on the grille and the bumpers, and this also does get parking sensors, so it can certainly help you out getting into those tight parking spaces. But before we get inside this model, let's jump over, we'll look at the Mazda CX-50. Now this is the 2024 2.5 Turbo Premium CX-50. So there is quite a few trim levels. It can get a little confusing, but the biggest differentiator is going to be the 2.5 in the Turbo or the non-Turbo edition. So this Turbo Premium is kind of maybe a little bit more up the food chain, and it does offer a lot of great equipment. Now, one thing to note, similar to the Subaru, all Mazda SUVs will come standard with their all-wheel drive system now. So no matter if you're tackling the Minnesota winters or like the Subaru getting out on those trails, this can certainly give you the sure-footedness that you want when you're on the road. Now the CX-50, the design is going to be a little bit different than the Subaru Forester, but there is a lot of similarities between the two. There is a 2.5 liter, like I said, but the turbo is a little bit more fun when you're actually out on the road and driving around, and fuel economy is cut a little bit short compared to the Subaru. You're looking at about 25 mpg on the highway combined, where it was 29 on the Forester. Now, as far as style goes, the Turbo Premium does get the 20-inch wheels. Similar to the Forester, it is a two-tone wheel, and it does look really good, especially with the wind chill pearl white paint and the terracotta interior. It is a very stylish looking vehicle. Now up front there is a few different grille designs and wheel options you can do, and this one still does keep the low profile roof rack rails, so if you want to put the crossbars up there, you can certainly do that. Now safety is going to be very similar to the Subaru Forester again. You're going to find things like blind spot monitoring, emergency braking, the adaptive cruise control, but again, we'll touch on that a little bit more once we hop inside. So some of the exterior styling cues are a little bit different on the CX-50. You'll notice the black cladding that runs along. This one also gets the black mirror caps and some of the black accents in the bumper, as well as on the back of the vehicle. Now this model will also get the power liftgate out back, and you are going to have the little handles to fold those seats down, and cargo space is going to be pretty similar, maybe a little bit more in the Subaru Forester. With the seats kicked down, it is very comparable to having how much stuff you can fit into the back of the vehicle, whether it's luggage or going to the cabin for the weekend. I think both could certainly get the job done. But before we talk too much about the inside of this one, let's hop back over to the Subaru Forester. Alright, so behind the wheel of the Forester Limited, why am I holding my cell phone? That's because we've got wireless charging in here, and this is going to have a wireless Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto. Google Maps, text messaging, Spotify, everything is going to be built into here. It makes it very convenient when you're on the go, and if you don't want to use that, this particular model also has the built-in navigation. So you can click the maps, that will pull it up. It's powered by TomTom, it works very well, and it is very convenient when you're on the go. Now, what else is really cool, on the steering wheel, you actually have voice controls. So not only can that set your navigation, it can change the climate, it can do the phone calls. It is so nice to being safe when you're on the road that if you can just click that button, you're not messing with your phone or the screen. It is a very convenient feature. Now, touching on this screen, this is the larger display that's now found in the Outback and the Crosstrek, and it works really well. All of your radio controls, your climate control, you can even control through here as well, or there is physical buttons on the side, whether that's for the defrost or the temperature. That is nice that it's not just built through the screen. Now, there is also USB charging down here, and with your shifter combo, there is a lot of materials in the Forester. There's kind of this almost looks like a beech wood to me with the hexagon pattern. You've got some of the gloss black in here. It all does flow and work very nicely together. There's a few different interior options, obviously this being the lighter one with the blue stitching that runs through. These seats are extremely comfortable. They're also going to be heated. So right here on the infotainment screen, there's a 3-level heated seat for the driver and the passenger. And if you want to bump up to the touring, you can even do the ventilated seats, and then that would also add heated seats to the second row. But on the steering wheel, it's a heated steering wheel as well. One of my absolute favorite features. Right here behind the wheel, you can turn that on or off. It's a full 360 heated wheel, and when the winter comes around, that is a pretty excellent feature. Now, on the wheel, you've also got a few different safety things. So like I talked about before, that Subaru EyeSight, you can set the cruise control, you can set the lane departure warning, and then 4, 3, or 2, 1 car length distances ahead of you. The adaptive cruise control, if you're eating up a lot of miles, it's definitely a great safety feature. Then on the other side, like I said, just the voice control over there, and then you do have a small digital gauge cluster. So that's just going to show you some of your pertinent information. You can go through that, kind of keep an eye on things, or even on top of the infotainment screen over here, you can see the weather, some of the vehicle temperatures, some of the navigation stuff, and then any audio you would be playing. So what about that second row? I did notice quite a bit more headroom in here when comparing it with the CX-50. You do get about the same amount of knee space, I was gonna say. Where I'm 6'1", driving comfortably, this is a power seat up here as well as a power seat for the passenger. But in the second row, it's pretty good. I think 4 adults could comfortably be in this car. 5, it might get a little bit tighter, but overall, I think the second row is awesome. You've got USB charging back there. The seats are comfy. You can kind of move them around a little bit. So that's definitely something to consider if you got the family with you. You're gonna be safe when you're in this vehicle, and everyone's gonna be comfortable. Now, one cool thing in the Forester, it's kind of got like a 3/4. It's not like a full huge panoramic sunroof, but it does open into the second row, especially with the light interior. It opens it up very nicely, and it's a pretty cool feature. One other thing I really like in the Forester, these kind of smaller corner windows. So just in front of the mirror, it's a little window. It can kind of help you see. The backup camera in here is pretty awesome. Like I said, it does have the parking sensors. So parking is easy, but when you're on the road, that kind of lightens some of the B-pillars can be pretty large in vehicles. So having that little added window does help you with visibility. So overall, in the Forester, what are we looking at for an MSRP? We're just over $40,000. I think about $40,100. So that's getting you things like the heated seats. It's gonna have the wireless Apple CarPlay in here, the heated steering wheel, all the storage and luxury. Plus this one gets the upgraded nav with the Harman Kardon sound system, which sounds pretty awesome. Not to mention, you're also getting 29 mpg combined. So fuel economy is going to be great out of the new Forester. But let's hop over, we'll check out the CX-50. Okay, so behind the wheel of the Turbo Premium CX-50, again, I've got my phone, we've got wireless charging, so a little bit different location in this model, but it's convenient. You've also got Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto in here, and this one also has the built-in navigation. Now, while you can turn this on to use this as a touchscreen up above, you do get a controller down here. So once you kind of figure it out and you can use this to either go to your music, go to your home, you can kind of program different buttons in here. It does make it very convenient and safe when you're on the go. Plus, they did leave the volume control down here, which is nice as well. It is also on the steering wheel. Now you do get little storage cubbies in here. So opening this up, you've got USB-C charging in the armrest here. There also is going to be USB-C charging in the second row, and those are going to be heated seats. So compared to the limited Forester, this Turbo Premium would add heated seats where you'd have to jump up to the Touring in that model. And this is going to have heated as well as ventilated seats for the driver and the passenger. So it's pretty hot today, and kicking on those ventilated seats does make a pretty big difference. It's an awesome feature. Plus, this one also gets that heated steering wheel. So the leather appointed seats in here, obviously it's a little different. This is the terracotta interior. Now the CX-50 is almost supposed to resemble a hiking boot, is the way they designed it and how it's laid out. You'll notice some of the cross stitching that's on the dash and on the seats here. They're extremely comfortable. Very similar to the Forester, but I feel like I'm just sitting a tad bit lower than I was in that model, but it kind of is dependent on what you're looking for. I think the CX-50 drives a little bit sportier, and some of the interior materials feel a little bit more upscale, as well as the way everything is a little bit more laid out to feel more luxurious. Same difference with some of that safety stuff. Blind spot monitoring, I can set my 4, 3, 2, 1 car length distances ahead of me, and this actually gets the heads-up display in this model. So you can see that information up above, so keeping your eyes on the road and looking forward is also obviously extremely safe. Now, this Turbo Premium does get the Bose sound system, so I would say it's very similar. Between the Forester and this one, I didn't really notice any big differences with the upgraded audio systems. I thought both worked pretty well. Now, this one does get the full panoramic sunroof, so it does open it up, and with the terracotta and the black interior, it certainly opens it up for the rear passengers, and I think is a great feature to add. Now, MSRP on this model is going to be about $43,700. So with the immense amount of different trim levels through the CX-50, you can start a little bit lower, just like the Subaru Forester, or you can add all this great equipment, and this one would be almost more similar to the Limited and the Touring model, but in both base models, the pricing is going to be pretty close. Now, a lot of the same features. Like I said, both have the 2.5 liters. Fuel economy is going to be a little bit better in the Forester, but I think with the turbo, this is definitely more fun to drive. It's a little bit sportier, it's a little bit more zippy, and it just seems like a little bit more luxurious. Whereas the Subaru Forester, if you're into the outdoors, you want a little bit of extra space, I think that might be a better option there. So overall, comparing the two, it's pretty close. There's a lot of really similar equipment in both models. You can go with the base model, or you can load them up to get all the goodies in either one. There's both off-road models in each. So there is a Forester Wilderness, which would still be the previous gen, or you can do the Meridian Edition. If you're hitting the outdoors, hitting the campsites, those are certainly ones to look at. But I think the best thing to do, get out, drive them both. Like I said, they're so close that maybe you like the way you fit in the Mazda, or maybe you like the storage space in the Forester better. So once you're out, get behind the wheel, hop in the second rows, open the back, and see which one might just be perfect for you. Now, that was just a quick comparison between the Subaru Forester and the Mazda CX-50. If you have any other questions or you'd like to schedule a test drive, you can visit us online at walser.com or stop by any one of our locations. We'd be more than happy to help. Thanks for watching.